These are much more laid back. Or at least the last two were. I mean, it's not a prescription that they have to be, but these are mighty pretty backgrounds.
I think a part of the reason they're more laid back is because you and I are probably more familiar and therefore...
Well, I played Deus Ex a bunch. I hadn't played this at all.
Well, I have an excuse at least. You don't.
In Deus Ex or this?
In Deus Ex.
Well, you have an excuse to suck more than me? Mm-hmm. And it still acknowledges that I don't suck as much.
So? Again, I have an excuse. You do not.
Well, no, but I don't need an excuse because I don't suck as much.
Than me, but it certainly doesn't mean you don't suck.
No, but technically everyone sucks to a certain amount. I mean, we all suck in certain things. We already have this one.
Do we?
Yes, see, we already got the bits. It's blue, it glows, because blue is a good color. It's never an evil color.
Why is it glow-glonging? Is that all we're doing right now?
What?
Is
Ronk the Crazy? No, that was because...
Glow-glonging?
He was, we did him last time because we wanted to capture him. But it occurs to me, we were playing real fast and loose last time, probably even slightly more than we should have been.
What does that mean?
Well, because we were basically spending the whole time gathering intel and finding the orcs we wanted to capture, and then we realized that the more orcs we capture, they fight amongst themselves, which means it's entirely possible that names we like will end up going away simply because we can't mind control them before they infight amongst themselves.
Well, that's probably true.
So we should probably move ahead with the main story until we get to the point where we can capture them, and then we can have our army of silly named orcs.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over here.
I'd slit up his kidneys. Successful attacks gain might. Quick throw, shove him off the building. Whee! All right. Whoop, whoop. That's your magic attack that only think works when you got a bunch of guys around. Someone's shooting at you. Someone's shooting. Whoa! What on earth?
Why on earth would I have done that?
I don't know, but it was absurd.
Can I...
Well, I'm surprised no one saw that, but I guess this works. Oh, that was your intel.
Well.
Oh no, he's down on the ground. Never mind. That was just a trick.
Some of these are getting real
That's
ridiculous.
what I said. This would be a perfect spot to hide some loot.
Well, it would be, except that I was assuming this was another one of the towers. Is that it?
I think it was it. No, that's the tower we were just on. What are you
looking
attempting?
for the next tower that we need to actually...
We don't need towers. We need to continue with the main quest.
Which is where?
Get the map out. I don't know.
That will never not be great.
Alrighty, well...
What's his name? I can't remember.
Although I think we should call him Kronk.
You're supposed... I don't know.
I don't know either. So just find a mission to do. I mean, because we got to get up to the point where we can actually start commandeering orcs for our army. Because up until that point, all of the stuff we're going to do about, finding names and things isn't going to help us.
Crazy. Target search area. Shelob memory. Do you want to do that?
Well, what's the actual quest? So go to is there a quest log? Or are all of these, or are we just in a free mode?
Right now,
it looks like
we are to be...
He's under siege.
No, we completed all these ones. So seeing stones. Yeah,
find
see, we're supposed to be doing
the
this.
City falls. Well, where's the planter? How do we find it? It's saying it's in the center of the city.
Oh, well, then
it was go to the tower. That was the main one. Yeah.
Oh, that's a waypoint right there.
Either that, or we can also do some. I think some of the the Shelob things or the Ithildian and those. I think those are more minor.
Well, as we get
just
there.
As you pass them, might as well do them. But we don't have to make a beeline for them necessarily. Well, you had topics, so I'm gonna let you go off on one.
So, You obviously we'd been talking. Oh dear, that's too much.
It doesn't hurt.
We've been talking for a while.
Remember, we are dead.
We are dead corpse. So who cares?
I mean, I would think it would be funnier if they allowed us to like our knees just spit out the sides, and we just get impaled on our own thigh bones. But then we just sort of pick ourselves up. I also noticed last time we played super, like, we would just barge in and slip people up. We probably need to engage more of the Assassin's Creediness, where we don't just have hordes of, like, 30 guys chasing us because we ran in and just went, and slit a guy's throat and then ran off. Well, what's with the giant meat bags? That's real nasty-like.
They've done that before.
Yeah, but why are they just throughout the city? Like, what is...
I fear that this is going to be exactly like the previous... History is going to repeat itself in that we're going to enjoy the game so much we'll not even talk about the topics.
Well, let's wait until that happens.
Yeah, let's see. Where am I at? There we go.
You might want to look down before you do that next time, but... Yeah, you really might, because they all dropped them in unison. Oh, who's you? Who's you? Crook? Or is it Crook?
Crook?
Crook or Crook? Or Crook?
It's the Crook Nookery.
I mean, Crook or Crook. I am not a crook. Okay, so Richard Nixon over here. I don't know if he's good enough to stick around unless we just refer to him exclusively as Richard Nixon. We'll make him our chief orc. He'll be the commander of all of our forces.
Wow.
See, but like, this is what I was talking about. When you get into a brawl with like 12 guys, it just never ends because it keeps attracting people. I don't know. Crook, Kronk. We already have a Kronk. Oh, glaive attack. Give him the what for? What?
It's not...
It's on the screen. He doesn't seem that hard to kill. Whoop. Gave him a knee. He probably has some...
That was my bad, and I goofed that one.
He probably has some weakness in his bio that we could find. In his bio. Whoa! I mean, it is technically, but that makes it sound like a Twitter thing. Oh, hey, it's Kratos again. The pale orc.
A pale...
Get him.
A Strider right... Whoa!
Whoa!
You're really just...
That was an emergency tracheotomy, I think. He'll be breathing really well now.
Okay.
That was a double... Whoop. What? What? You great big nanny. Who's you?
We have the strength.
Krosh?
Only a matter of time.
Krosh?
He'll fall.
None of these are very good.
Do nothing to save it.
So the other guys...
Okay,
oh, hey,
so
we got our Gondors.
Is he rallying...
Gondors calling
Is he
for
rallying the other dude so that he stays?
No,
or?
I think he's just... He stepped in to fill the boots, I guess. He's like, hey, I'm going to steal this
Or
kill.
in this case, the Jesus sandals.
Is that what he's wearing? No, those are boots. Oh, well, okay, they're sort of gladiator-ish.
What's your Jesus sandals?
They're halfway. Well, Jesus wasn't wearing gladiator sandals. They were probably just sandals. Those are gladiator-ish. They've got straps and bits. The guys of Gondor really don't seem to help much. Whoa. Oh, mercy. Oh, mercy. Whoop, whoop, get him while he's down. Get him. Well, he's got cronies. That's the one complaint I would say I have about this game, is the guys can be just a bit too bullet spongy, despite the fact that they're not actually bullets. Damage spongy, I guess. Doesn't flow as nicely, but... Like, sometimes you'd think... I understand the captains being hard to kill, because that's kind of their whole point, but like, some of the regular guys do just take a wailing to kill. Whoa, what was that you were trying? Uh-oh. I think you pressed too early. What? He saved us! He actually totally saved our skin. Oh! That actually is that's a thing that happens. So you have a savior now. Well, okay. That's an interesting thing to happen. Well, good thing, too, because you might have died otherwise. Oh, hey, we got a Gondorian cloak. What is it?
I don't want to deal with you.
That guy's having a spasm. I'll kill him. What do you mean you don't have to deal with him? What's with the Darth Maul horns he's trying to get? Is that his hair?
Can I just... Thank you.
Oh, that was a ghost pimp slap. What have you done to him? What? I got my ghost spear out with no one to give it to. Whoa! That came out his nose. Okay, this is
over here just because I'm ticked off.
This is the problem with big brawls like this, though. They attract more people, so you got to get out of here quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna kill all of Mordor. All of Mordor knows you're here. So slice him up, slice him up. What are you waiting for? Why do you wait? This isn't Assassin's Creed. You don't have to wait for the prompt to show up.
Well, that makes it easier because you can...
Yeah, but that also is going to take excruciatingly longer because you're not going to make much damage in the meantime. I think you got him. Now you got to get out of here. Ah,
okay.
You might just have to book it because they're going to keep coming. This is what I was saying when we got to engage the Assassin's Creediness. Well, so you had a topic.
I do have a topic. So you obviously we had talked
Intel. No, you don't have to
detail about Peaky Blinders and the fact that I enjoyed Peaky Blinders, and I've only been able to. It's been difficult for me because I think the being able to unpack why I like it has been more of a uncovering more than it has been a...
You certainly didn't seem to need to uncover it. You seemed quite sure early on.
Well, and I don't think what I said was untrue, but I've realized more and more, because you got me, obviously, for Christmas, I was able to then get a... Whoa, okay, what's the...
It's the spider. Oh, it's one of these types of puzzles? We're pulling a Chronos on this? I think, is there an angle that we can see this from which it'll make a face? Well, we're getting somewhere. Whoop. You're getting there. No, you're close. This is a strange way to do this. This is kind of creepy. This has got some quite photorealistic graphics, I must say. This is 2017 too, so this is a little bit old now. I mean, in gaming terms, and it still looks pretty good.
Anyway,
well, that was it.
So you got me the book.
That was it. We just had a flashback of 3 seconds.
Like official.
I think it was like a production story compendium, whatever.
Yeah, and as I've been reading through it, it's furnished me with some significant topics, especially with Stephen Knight and why he kind of created the story and that kind of thing. So number one, I wanted to just talk about the idea that in reading it, I think really a couple of the things that he stated, I thought I could break those barrels open. Apparently not.
I guess not.
One of the things that he brought out that I feel like was...
whatever that is.
What?
Whatever that is.
Well, that's
that guy.
wrong.
No, whatever the triangle's at.
That's the...
Ithil. Because, I mean, we're on our way back to the tower. I might as well just take a stop along the way. He's good. He's the official morale. He's our mascot.
Stephen Knight talked about essentially what brought him to...
Okay, how do I... Stealth! Get the intel! Because he's running away. He's gonna make a fuss if you don't.
How do I do the fast run? I can't remember.
You just did it a while ago. I don't know either.
It was an accident.
There we go. Running around at the speed of sound. Grab him. B. Well, you gotta be.
Oh, come on. Get up there. Okay.
Well, I think you've lost your chance.
Don't ever underestimate running around at the speed of sound.
Okay, but we don't need the intel that much. Now you're going away from the Ithildin.
Well, that's yeah.
Well, okay, that was a Karagor or a Warg or something I don't want to be in facing with. It's chasing you. Well, apparently
fast enough.
It can't run at the speed of the clap.
What?
It was a. Oh, it's in the middle of the statue. It was a zero punctuation joke. This might be an inoperable. I think it's at the front.
Shows you what I think of that.
Shows how much you know. I think it's at the front. Yeah. I don't think this is an ideal time to be doing this, but maybe it won't matter.
Can I? Oh, it's Savior again. I'll just let him deal with it.
Well, I don't think that's how it works, but okay. How do you make it happen?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it with.
Well, maybe they won't let you while you're being attacked. Well, just kill him at least. Get it over with. Don't. Woo! Get him while he's down. All right, quickly. Scan the wall. Rorschach test before anyone. No, they don't see you. How do I don't know. It's one of the buttons.
Grab it with your teeth. One is all you need. Seriously.
Maybe. I mean, it's got to be possible. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Someone's enraged.
What am I missing?
That's. I don't think you're missing anything. I think you just have to. Maybe it's. Is it ever gonna get old?
There.
What?
No, that's not. I thought that it was telling me how to view the. Can I please freaking see it?
I see it there.
Well, yeah, but.
How do you make it happen?
Oh, I bet you it's this. Where's the... There it is.
Well, what was that? And why couldn't you think of it? Whoop, itch. What did he say?
Gwen. Is what it's...
Gwen? Who's Gwen?
I don't know.
Who's you? No, we don't remember you. You're not fun.
I'm the Tark Slayer. That means I kill Tarks. And you're a Tark!
Well, that is some excellent SAT grade logic, son. I'm proud of you.
And so, I talked to him.
A is to B,
like
as B is to C. Therefore, me is to Tark slaying what you is to being a Tark. What is he? What on earth?
Oh, come on.
What was that he did to you? Got you in an ankle lock? Slice him into luncheon meat. Enraged by everything. That sounds like me when I was talking about my... What on earth? He's just shooting randomly. Oh, is he calming down now? He's had his tantrum and now he's fine. Oh, you don't have a savior. No saviors for you. I think you missed it. Oh, lots of saviors for you. Never mind. Is this the same guy or is this a different guy? Well... So is that going to happen every time? Like if you get in one of those situations whenever a guy is around?
Take care of myself? That seems a little annoying.
Can the Gondorians have to wipe my butt for me? Alrighty, well. On to the exclamation point. It's on the minimap now.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to get into this topic in any sort of...
Fine, let's talk about something fluffy.
Unless you want to play for a bit.
Well, you haven't died yet, so... Because the Gondorians keep wiping your butt. Charge the castle. What's the glowing red?
What is that? I don't know.
Collect gem. It's just floating in the air? That was an odd bit of symbology. Alright.
We finally got it.
Where is this thing? Intel, BBB. Suck his brain. No, suck it! Suck it! Hold B. Well, you are sucking it. Alright. Oh, wow, everyone's dead.
Oh, he's
there's
a blood brother. Who's
wait,
you?
There's brothers over here?
Tars.
Tars is related to who? Skak? Ronk.
Ronk.
Ronk's got a brother. I didn't know that. Well, there's only 2 Mysterios on the board, so let's see who they are.
Where?
Pash. Now,
Hellhawk?
I may be wrong,
Stupidest
but
name.
I think Pash may or may not be a British euphemism for
what?
when 2 people love each other very much. I could be wrong. It might not be that, but I think it's for something. Should I look it up? I probably should.
I feel like it sounds more like an excrement thing.
I think that you're thinking Tish.
Well, maybe.
Or Tosh. I actually don't know if those
Patch
are...
of Tish Tosh.
I don't know if those are different words or they're the same word, but I know that they're both British slang. What does Pash mean British slang? I'm going to put safe search on for that. Oh, well, it's something. Oh, never mind. It's not quite...
Luga. That's the last guy.
No, we met him before. He's the Roman wannabe. Okay, so it's a kiss. It's not all the way.
What?
You are stunned by what?
The arrows.
Well, I mean, that seems like that would happen. Don't shoot your savior.
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to shoot the white wog over there.
The white wog? Squog! He's on fire. Why are you focusing on him? I think he's dying.
Well, he's about to be.
Yeah, I don't care about him much. Oh, you're building your rage meter. What happens when you get a full rage?
Then you have a rager.
Oh, I was thinking you wouldn't go for the obvious. Whoop.
What happened?
What is going on?
It's glitching.
You both had to take a cold shower. Did you kill him that time at least, or did your saver do it again?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. We can wipe our own butt. He was standing at the ready going, if I have to save you one more time.
I'm not gonna.
The captain said you were going to help us out. I really don't see it. Well, I guess we're going into there. Wait, we can't go in there.
I'm not able to, so...
It's blocked. Well, then what are we supposed to do? Select a new objective. Press the thing and see what's new. Pussycat. Minas Ithil's under siege.
Find the Palantir before the city falls.
Or does that... What is that?
The Palantir is...
Oh, do we know where it is? Oh, well, maybe if we find all... Maybe that should be our objective, is to get all the towers. I didn't think we had any more. I thought we got them all. I didn't see them on the map, so there's one left at least in that corner.
There's that one.
Go to the other far corner, because I think that's... That is the last one. Okay, so that's the last one is in the corner there.
Okay.
Alright, well, that's at least something to do, and there's someone there we can kill. Well, I don't have any topics really, other than...
Well, then maybe we should switch and let you do some stuff. Because, well,
You're doing
I mean,
well.
I don't want to...
You haven't died.
Sure, I
want to take it from you.
Well, I also want to... I suppose I want to give
this
its proper due, because I really feel like it's...
And you really can't do that right now?
This game doesn't lend itself to...
Well...
talk.
Okay, then.
I'm just running this time.
It's a tower that you're at it. You're right here.
Yes, hence why I'm going up it.
You're going to the side of it. Woo!
Woohoo! Stop on your right foot. Don't forget it.
There we go. I do feel like this is still slightly too easy. It's just like you say some words and then it's like, oh, that's it. Alrighty. So is there no one in the streets when you do this? It looks like, whoop. All of the people who were around are just, did they just disappear? in. How many times can we do that before it gets incredibly obnoxious?
It's already gotten that.
Because it is just...
It's already gotten to that point.
Well, Barrows. I thought that was... Didn't we already go there?
Barrows?
Yeah, we relived the ghost man's memories. Whoop, whoop. Or we could go to the crypt of the Colosseum. Oh, well, that's right nearby us. We might as well do that. That's everything. Alright, well, let's go to the Colosseum, see what we can find. Well, you're leaving me out to dry a bit here. I don't know what to talk about because I didn't think of the topics this week. You told me you had plenty.
Well, then here.
Well, that seems cheap. You can't speak and I speak and talk at the same time.
Yeah, but this topic is one that I actually am quite interested in because the fact that
and mine aren't.
Well, it's not. It's that this
unlock skill.
I thoroughly am enjoying the book that you got, which again is basically the companion to the literature companion to the watching of Peaky Blinders, and it basically gives a lot of detail in both the actors and the production side of things. Steve Knight particularly talks about why he created the show and how essentially it was something that was kind of an ongoing passion of his that he wanted to create, but he had to just kind of sit on the idea until the time felt right, which to me arguably is what makes a good idea, is when you're willing to go, well, this has to be in the right timing. I mean, I think of like even George Lucas when he made the first 3 Star Wars and then went, well, the technology has to be where it needs to be for me to make the other 3. So anyway, within that whole narrative, I knew Stephen Knight, part of the reason that he wanted to create Peaky Blinders is because he had some connection with it, but I didn't recognize how close.
What does that mean, though?
So, both on his mother's side and on his father's side, they had connection in some form or another to the actual real life Peaky Blinders, and his mom apparently was one of the runners for the bookies, and so she would literally go and
because the gang was around in like the 1910s.
It was his grandparents. So.
Oh well, his mom. You said his mom was working for him though. How long? I guess that's the other question. Is how long were they around?
Yeah, it was his mom. Well, this was the other fascinating thing, so I'll get to that. But anyway, his mom, I guess, was one that ran for the bookies.
Too far, dude.
And
stop it.
And then his dad apparently his uncle was an actual Peaky Blinder.
I thought you said his dad was his uncle.
So his dad's uncle, which would make his I guess make it his great uncle, I suppose, was an actual Peaky Blinder. Like. And at one point he went to go.
Where did you?
Okay.
Corvo, what are you doing in this game? Takra. Again, this sounds like someone out of sounds like someone out of He-Man.
Well, he looks.
I am Takra, the Manhunter.
And not for the reason you might think. He looks a little.
I swing both ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just flamboyant. Kathleen.
What? Well, that didn't work.
You
give me
your soul.
Give me. I'm gonna slash you up with me spirit spear. My spirit.
Wow.
Come on, get over here. That. Okay, I can't seriously be expected to do this every time, right? It's a mighty slow way to do it. How do I like bamboozle him or something? Because he's. Well, there we go. That's how I do it.
You can also punch with B.
Ooh, he can punch too. Slice him up. No. There you go. Give him the old 1-2. What? I gave you the ground execution. Get him on the ground. Get him on the ground. Slice his... What? How much can you take, bro?
He'd like to tell you.
I don't want to know, actually. Get away from me, you freaking...
You freak.
Ow! I don't need a savior. Wow!
So that's the answer when I don't pull it off.
I should have caught it and then thrown it right back at him.
The saviors then seem a little cheap.
Well, is it every time they're around, or is it only occasionally? He's now enraged. Well, that's a problem. I don't want to deal with that. I'm about to hunt a man. Oh, it's not going to work now. I need a savior. I need a hero. Yes! He's got to be strong, and he's got to be something, and I don't know all the words.
That was an ugly one, wasn't
It was. You're not, though. Let's kiss. Who are you? Shaka Stewart of the Bad Beards.
Shaka Stewart.
Why are you all coming here? Hey, Mr. Savior Man, can you wipe me too? I'm stunned by what? I want my
By
that hideous facial hair. These guys are just awful. Get back here, you.
So his father and mother, essentially, he grew up with these stories that he felt like really came to life because they were a lot of people, when you just look at the history books, describe Birmingham as this kind of impoverished. Sure, it was.
Many people would say that even now.
Right, but I mean, the idea that it was this kind of slummy, impoverished area that just kind of didn't really do much and was just there. And he said, while that's true, and this is the thing that piqued my interest. He said, one of the reasons, and this has been the main driving force of the show, is that Stephen Knight wanted to create... He really fell in love with and felt like the characters came to life of what his mother and his father talked about, because here in this kind of slummy part of town, in this kind of depression time period,
This is wrong.
What?
You won't kill me today.
Excuse me? What?
I'm not
What? He just gets to have a sort of... What? I just shot my guy in the face. It's still sticking out of him. I'm not letting this guy speak that over himself. No, you're gonna die today. There you go. Shaka the bad prophet. That's what he is. What's happening? What's happening over here? His sword stuck into a bag of flour. I think that's a glitch, but it's also kind of cool, so I'm gonna let it be. What? Okay, he was just having some kind of an emotional... Thanks for the save earlier, pal, but don't read too much into it. It was a one-time thing.
So, anyway, he just felt like these characters came to life because here they are in this really terrible time period in this really, not super well-known area.
I get these.
And yet, these are people that made their way kind of in the world and, in fact, were wildly successful in their spheres, and especially the Peaky Blinders. And so what he said was, what he recognized was that middle class, that particular kind of narrative was completely absent from history as far as history books. He said, I looked back and consistently the kind of the middle class, the working man, just the standard, I'm just a normal dude. Those are people that don't necessarily have a lot of history told about them.
That happens though. I mean,
I agree. But what Stephen Knight his sentiment was essentially, okay, I want to watch this again. Okay.
They're not actual scenes. They're literal just screenshots. She was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, apparently. What?
We will take a great risk using it.
What? What did that have to do with anything? Okay, yeah, cool, thanks. Wow! I thought that was a bunch of orcs. I'm still curious as to how you guys got all here at once. Why is
we
this
gotta
locked?
unlock. Yeah, we gotta go unlock that. I don't know what that.
You must unlock the perfect counter skill to begin this quest. Well, that means that's an ability we don't have. Might as well get this then.
So, what he started doing was he realized that in formalized academic history, there wasn't a lot of things to say about those particular types of people. However, if you actually go back and look at news articles, newspapers and things of that nature, and dig into the actual kind of everyday man's record of what was the goings on in various cities, specifically Birmingham in this case, you find that their history is quite rich, and that essentially when you look at history through the eyes of that particular working class man,
This seems like a ha-ha. Wait, no.
Oh, okay. These characters came to life even more, and so what Stephen Knight's sentiment was the whole show was predicated on this idea that
use these. Use zipline. There you go. That would burn your hands. I mean, I know I'm using my sword handle, but that would burn through the sword handle and then my hands.
Was set up to be something where he said, I want to tell the story that hasn't been told. And I know that you knew most of that, but what caught my interest was, and now I'm kind of fascinated by, is Stephen Knight said as he started looking into it, he realized that although history and most formalized history books will act like, well, Peaky Blinders were the small Birmingham gang. They weren't really a big deal. They weren't really even a formalized gang. It was just this kind of thing, and they were only around for, a couple of years, and then they just kind of dispersed. That's not what he found as he continued to look at the actual boots on the ground history within newspaper and that kind of stuff. What he found was the term
We got a bunch of new guys.
The term and the name, I suppose, Luga.
There was already a Luga. We killed one and got another.
Luga Chaka, Luga.
That's lame.
But the term Peaky Blinders was used far further into history than the formalized history books acted like. And so his argument was, when you actually get down to earth with the middle class history, you'll find that there were people that were making their way on a small footprint level, although for the Peaky Blinders it may have seemed like massive strides forward. History doesn't really care that much about them, but they still were actually very, very well known and very feared gang within the Birmingham streets. And so as I started thinking about it, I was going,
What?
I'm now, and I wanted to get your take on this, I'm now fascinated with the idea that middle class history is, if it is missing, if it is true that Stephen Knight has kind of uncovered that largely it's missing from formalized textbooks, that just makes me want to engage more and more with and this comes back to why I liked the show, which was my history kind of has some parallels to Stephen Knight's story.
Whoa.
Okay, that was a
Where'd y'all
brilliant
come from?
Counter.
Y'all weren't here before.
And so now I'm fascinated to go, I want to look at some news articles and find out some of the more practical, right there type of history in my family's tree as well, and how it related and all this kind of stuff. Because and I think to specifically people that kind of history is forgotten because they were more just kind of middle class, did their thing. And immediately what came to mind was, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but the movie about the man who invented the intermittent windshield wiper, Robert Kearns.
I didn't see the movie. I remember hearing about it, though.
And basically, it was a middle-class guy that was an engineer and a working man and made this thing that he felt like, hey, this is going to be necessary and useful for future car manufacturers, sold the idea after patenting it, and then basically after being rejected by every big manufacturer and car dealership or maker, they just stole to a degree his design or replicated his design, and then, you know, did their own thing without giving him any sort of credit. And it follows the story. I have not actually seen the movie, but I do know that it follows the story, and that throughout that he essentially ends up actually taking them to court and all this other stuff because of the fact that it was his idea. But that to me is a great example of, again, history kind of up until that movie of recently. You wouldn't have known the name Robert Kearns, and you wouldn't have known that he was the one that that invented that. Now, is the intermittent wiper blade that significant, or that function is that significant? Maybe not the way we think about it now in our modern context, but before that time it probably was. And so I don't know what's your take on kind of the idea that middle class history, to me it has a far more interesting and rich
I don't know
interest.
That it's correct to say that it doesn't exist, because that's...
It's not that it doesn't exist. Again, Stephen Knight says it very much exists in the written word, in what he would argue is more like news publication, more like local news publication, more than in formalized textbooks. Again, formalized textbooks are always going to give you kind of a broad overview of the history of that period, but then we get the impression somehow that that's all it was. Again, Birmingham, for instance, is boiled down to this kind of, there wasn't really much going on, and it was just kind of an impoverished area that wasn't really that exciting. When in reality, you have this gang that gains all kinds of prowess and literally takes over a large part of the city with fear and power and influence, and nothing's said about it. I mean, that's a fascinating.
Well, stuff isn't said
me.
much about the mafia anymore, even though they're still around.
Right.
Like,
but
I
that's
think
what
they
I'm
probably
saying.
wanted it that way, to be honest.
Well, that's very possible too. But I just think, but again, I go back to, because a part of the reason I fell in love with the show is because it parallels my own life to a degree. I do think that the fact that Stephen Knight had ended up finding such success in discovering more about his own family background, specifically within the kind of Peaky Blinders concept, makes me intrigued to go, maybe I ought to do that, like within like the areas that my family grew up in and those types of things, because I am curious. Even that, like, okay, so this is a bit of a bird walk, but it's related. There is an article that my dad showed me of my grandfather, his dad, being like a conductor of like an entire symphony at like the age of 8, and I like have that actual baton. Like, it's a gold baton that literally has like, I mean, I own it, and I'm like, that's fascinating, and I would be interested to know how on earth he had the kind of...
That's not
like, they were more upper middle class at the time. My grandfather and his family, I guess, at the time. And so I go, that's just kind of an interesting... Like, I want to know more about my grandfather and how he ended up getting mixed up with the mafia and, all that entailed.
You don't see anything. I'm not here.
So I don't know. The biggest thing for me with this particular topic was that I feel like it's a large enough topic to discuss, because whether or not you disagree, I do feel like it is true that formalized textbooks tend to obviously focus on the bigger players, maybe in what brought about that historical movement.
But I think that's a somewhat wrong frame of reference, because of course they will. That's their whole point.
Right. You're
looking in the wrong place for it.
But do you not agree that it would certainly enrich history textbooks to have some middle-class stories told.
Well, I think they are to an extent. Because not everything... I mean, snafu! There we go!
Snafu. He's got no hand, or what's going on there?
I think those are just overcompensatory gloves. Because he's got his hand in the other one. He looks totally nonplussed, though. There's something in his face that's just like, go ahead and try it. Oh, he's grimacing, he's trying to look tough. Snafu. Well, I think we could agree he's sticking around. I'm just looking for a thing on a wall. Don't mind me. There's the wall, in fact.
So are you disagreeing with the sentiment that it's not as commonplace, or are you disagreeing that it needs be?
I'm saying I think it... Oh, ew. Oh, it's the Pickler. I don't think we ever actually met him. You're awful, though. You're hideous. Just give me a second, Pickleman.
He's the definition of that sentiment that you are what you eat. If he's the pickle man or pickler or whatever he is.
Was that what would happen?
He looks like a giant pickle.
Looks more like a giant thumb, but I mean, I suppose they're similar.
A thumb.
I am... Oh, here we go. So this will be the last of these things here. So check that. I'm simply saying, to say that they need to be in history books, it's like, why history books? Why is the history they have? Because they have it. And why does it need to be in a history book? Because the question is, a history book is a thing used specifically for teaching students. It's not gonna let me up. They're not letting me up. They're on fire too. I don't like that you can do this. You're awful. Get me out of here. Get off the roof, you weirdo. That was a strange bit of... Okay, this is a problem. I can't escape these. I don't really want to have to kill him because that's going to take a whole bunch of time. Who are you?
His wings bring him flight.
No, sorry.
At what cost? The cost to those around him. The cost
What?
to himself.
He's grandiose. He thinks too highly of himself. He needs to shut up.
Death's wings beat, and it's I.
Okay, get it over with, pal.
On you.
Get out of here. I don't think that actually killed him, but hang on. Just let me get my thing. No, I don't need you right now. I simultaneously appreciate and kind of am weirded out by the fact that I can do this in the middle of a fight. Cause like, I'm glad I don't have to finish the fight first, but it also feels a little bit cheap. So that's everything.
I mean, are you saying that being in just kind of the layman's history within like newspaper and things like that's enough, or are you saying
I don't see why it wouldn't be, because I think to think otherwise is to place a little bit too much stock in formal history, as if somehow it doesn't count unless it's recounted formally.
I agree with that. I'm just saying, I think maybe for me, I was never really within school. Like, okay, so I'll say it this way. I didn't fall in love with history as a whole until I started looking outside of formalized education.
Well, but I think that's true of almost every subject, isn't it? At least that seems to be the case, even more and more so these days.
Well, I think, yeah, probably more now. But what I mean to say by that is, I would have been more interested. I tended to be more interested in the history that was more relatable to myself. And I feel like sometimes
again, pulling the parkour move that is literally impossible.
Sometimes the classic kind of expectation within standardized education is that you're dealing with the people that actually move history along the timeline, I suppose, be it social change or political change or war and who won this or that. But that's not quite as something I can connect with, maybe, than like
I suppose,
the normal.
but the argument then would be why the history of guy who does average thing. What significance is that going to have that means it needs to be taught?
Agreed. And so I think there's a balance. What I'm not saying
the argument you could make is like, okay, yes, they may have been a working class background, but they certainly weren't average men.
You're talking about the Peaky Blinders?
Or anyone of similar kind of stripe. It's like, simply because they had an average background doesn't mean they're average people.
Right.
So I wouldn't watch that and go, they're like me. Because they're not, demonstrably.
Maybe, I suppose.
Okay, it's on the other side of the camp.
No, I mean, you have a point. It's not as much that I expect that they're going to be like me in that I could just... Does he have that sword straight up looked like a tail for a time. I was like, I see a monkey.
Nobody hears, nobody sees. Come on.
I guess it's piqued my interest to go... Now I may actually begin to read newspaper articles and old school kind of nowadays. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where to look yet, but I'm going to find out, because to me that's a fascinating notion. So a couple things. Number one, I don't disagree with you that formalized education shouldn't specifically include like a middle class story, because I think if they tried to include those types of things,
if it mattered, is my point.
No, I agree, but yet Peaky Blinders were...
Well, I mean, arguably in the grand scheme of things, they didn't really matter, because eventually they went away.
Sure, but what history basically says within the history books is, yeah, they were this small gang, and they mostly were young people, and they just really didn't do much but, kind of petty crime. It's like, well, that's not at all the case, because the actual people that were there presently when they were actually a thing claimed that they were completely different than that they were actually quite, well-known and very... their prowess was quite a bit more significant than that. And so I think sometimes history gets it wrong when we use... When the expectation is, unless it has an effect on everyone, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Sure. Like, then you overlook stories that are quite fascinating and maybe remarkable, but just are not really told. So again...
Wait, what?
I'm not suggesting that this is not an argument for me to say formalized education needs to change, as much as it is I'm fascinated within myself to now begin unpacking more of like middle class history, and in my own context, more specifically, my own history within that, because I think I relate to Stephen Knight, and this is part of the reason why I loved the show. I relate to Stephen Knight in that I grew up with stories of my grandfather within a mafia context. I remember at 7 coming into his house and going, okay, like he had an office that was probably as big as a let's see, Don Marie Michael's living room was probably that big, and that was his office, and it literally had a single desk in the middle of it with a gold phone. And I'm not talking gold as in like coated in gold. It was like solid gold, I swear. But just weird things like that, where I remember literally like coming into his house going, like, when I was 7, I recall overhearing a conversation where my dad was frustrated with some, thing going on, and this person hadn't, something was happening on a financial level where this other person wasn't, paying my dad back for, something that they needed to. And my grandfather said something to the effect of, well, I can take care of that for you if you need me to. And my dad was like, no, that's not what I'm asking you to do. And so... like I'm just fascinated by that kind of stuff, which is why I think I relate so much to the Peaky Blinders and to a lesser degree Stephen Knight, because I think, what is this that we're supposed to be doing? These the words
I was supposed to translate the words we've been reading?
The Land of Mordor, where
it has to be shadows. Can't be anything else.
Our banners
boots
aloft.
Boots, drums. Let's make this the worst thing possible. Boots like doom. Boots like land. I'm assuming drum. No. No.
Like drums.
Our
doom
land. Cadence.
Our cadence click. Our
this for those for who in this dark dream haunted. Doom. There's shadows, wrath, land.
Haunted land.
Righteous flame
the righteous flame of wrath.
And doom themselves
to despair and death.
This is a weird way to do this, but okay. Well, we made something happen. Speak, friend, and enter. That's not what I spoke. I spoke a bunch of weird, angsty poetry.
We bear our banners aloft.
Okay, well, our husband's going to read his angsty teen poetry. Oh, hey, I get the purple armor. I want the purple armor. I don't know why. I just like that it's purple.
Oh, it's the skill that we needed.
It's a skill. It's Bright Lord's armor. Legendary gear. Heyo. What's my legendary stuff? Guardian armor, 11 maximum health. How do I? Heyo.
That looks awesome.
I'm liking the blue. That's a nice color. Okay, how do I? It's not really letting me do much in the way of selecting things. I'm confused. Oh, okay, so these are part of... Alright, never mind. How do I level stuff? So these are both better than the ones I have.
Which one... Well, are they both the same, though?
They don't seem to be any different.
Wait, go back, though. Their destroy level is different, meaning, like, their level
so they're the same thing, that's just one's in better... Wait, does that mean stuff... Condition. Oh, no, that means stuff degrades over time.
I mean, I would imagine.
Cloak, bow, dagger. Ooh, like that. That's nice. Alright, so we're good. Well, hey, we're looking fly. Oh, I like that a lot. That looks a lot better.
Yeah, but now his dagger's not the broken end of his son's thing.
Yeah, but that wouldn't really work anyways, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's time we let that go. Oh, and I got to unlock some skills.
We are a corpse after all.
Alright. Oh, hey, I got some things to unlock.
I don't know. I mean, does that make sense that I suppose for me, it just was more of like I unpacked the reason why I liked the show even more.
Well, you mean for another reason? Because you've unpacked it quite a number of times in various conversations.
Well, I mean, not necessarily in another reason, but I mean, like, again, I didn't realize how similar Stephen Knight's story was to, I suppose, the way I feel about my growing up years when I did hear, stories about my dad and his brothers and, my grandfather and what he did and, who he was within the mafia. Is like, okay, well, that's a strange thing to hear about, but it always, captured my imagination, certainly. And I think Stephen Knight feeling the same way and then saying what he realized and recognized was that no history book was going to tell him what he wanted and needed to hear about the truth of the, this tiny Birmingham gang of Peaky Blinders. But when he looked at the actual history of, like, the local people and how much impact and influence they had, it was far more robust as far as the telling, the retelling of the stories, which is just interesting to me. I don't know. I'm just now fascinated with going back and reading history as people understood it. Maybe that's the reason I enjoy history that is more like, this is a letter from like this person, and this is exactly what happened in that time frame. I'd rather have the actual artifact than I would have somebody tell me about it. Does that make sense?
I mean, sure. Like
when I learn history by, to a degree, experiencing it, that's why I was so fascinated with being in Spain and in some of the other areas with, Segovia and all that kind of stuff, is because I go, if these walls could talk kind of a thing, you go, here's an actual place that on a historical level has moved through time, and you can feel the history a little bit come to life, in the same way if you had a weapon or a letter or times when we would unpack things like the Silence Do Good letters and stuff like that, I'm going, okay, this is stuff like I'm actually interested in because it's artifacts that have stood the test of time. Even something like as commonplace for an American as like the Declaration of Independence, I'm like, that's a fascinating thing because it's there and it's actually like, so that to me is far more interesting than kind of remember this date and here's what these guys did, and it's like, I don't want to hear all that. I want to actually.
Isn't that just a poor way of teaching it? Like, is that the fault of I think that's more of, again, the fault of the education system than a fault of.
It is, but I think what Stephen Knight was highlighting, in my opinion, was that really what I believe the history books miss is that all these people that changed history in some form or another on a macro level were the same as these common folk, everyday ordinary people. They just happen to make more of an impact. And I go, so if we focused more on those types of stories, we may have a better understanding of our own history. It's a little bit, and I suppose this is, I did want to bring this out. It's a little bit like your opinion on the whole political system, the idea that we need to go back to localized and, state to state and even city to city, kind of focusing on your own area, because that's where government becomes effective, and less like, oh, we need to all try to have this massive oversight and control on a broad level. We need to go back to on a state level, this is what I want to support, and on a city level, this is what I want to support, And I think if history was told that way, and in Stephen Knight's case, what he's bringing out is that when you study history that way through up close and personal narratives. Get away from her!
He just went.
You're flying. A ponce.
All right, can I finally do this?
When history is studied that way through like newspaper and like real.
So what you're discovering is you should have been a historian.
Well, I mean.
Well, because that's those people's job, is to literally just look through old documents to find corroborating evidence for certain claims or. To refute things or prove things or.
Well, and I enjoy that. I think that's the part of history that I do appreciate.
Sacrifice our past to fear.
He looks an awful lot like Chadwick Boseman.
Baranor.
Did they do that on purpose?
I was telling you about it.
You spilled much blood for Minas Ithil.
Maybe not. Maybe it was just the facing me in that one shot. I just feel like we should just be like literally falling apart. We should look like a half zombie. People should be unsettled by our presence. Just because, that seems like it would have to be that way.
Can you stand over there in that corner?
You're stinking up the room, pal.
Are you, I suppose you're less, it seems like you're less enthralled by the idea than I am, but I just...
what idea specifically?
Well,
I enjoy history, but I don't know that I would... that I feel that there's some something needs redressing.
No. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying if people paid more attention to their own personal histories,
Well,
and by extension,
certainly.
and by extension, maybe even the places that they grew up in / the places they currently live and that history, they may be better off.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where I guess I don't know that I feel like that's a revolutionary sentiment.
No, it's not. I'm not saying. I don't think anything I am suggesting is particularly revolutionary. It's just a bit of a paradigm shift in my own thought, because I think I've always come at history from a place of again, the larger picture is the most important thing, and really it's not. The larger picture is made up of the details.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that comes down to the issue of standardized education.
Right, that's true. You're not going to be able to go through all the details with every single student. And every single student, honestly, wouldn't really want to sit through all the details, probably. So maybe that's just... Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just proves that I need to be the one to go and actually comb through the documents and...
We have to find out what we're dealing with.
This is a strange
He is
Cameron.
eyeballing her hard.
Oh, now I got a quest, actually. All right.
This
No,
is
don't
becoming-
walk into the fire, you
This is becoming
fools.
a little bit like
Y'all just walking straight into flames.
War in the North.
Well,
Everybody, good call.
okay. Y'all are walking into fire.
She didn't start the fire,
But you sure got it. And no one knows why. You gave up on that.
You did. You abandoned it.
Get out of the
Anywho,
fire, woman.
I suppose it wasn't as interesting a topic to you, but
Well, I don't think it's not interesting. I guess I feel like maybe it was something I already came to the conclusion of. I mean, I
That's
don't know. Am I
probably
more
true.
of a history nerd? I don't know that that's true, but
it's.
that is the strangest mechanism. That doesn't make any sense.
I
Did
think
you see his little thumb? He was
It's-
because he literally turned around and just kind of went, "You seeing that over there?"
it's not. I wouldn't say that you are more of a history nerd as much as it is. This is the first time I've ever personalized history. Maybe that's a fair way of saying it. Where I went, I bet you my personal family history is fascinating.
What am I supposed to do to this?
Is he blinded?
I can't tell. He doesn't seem to notice me. We just gotta hack him up? Oh, I do? Okay. This is a very small rooftop, and this is a very large thing. Stab him in his butt. He's gonna do a thing. I don't have a savior. I need a savior. I need a hero. Because I'm stabbing a thing in its butt, and it's killing me.
Why don't you use arrows?
Well, I don't know what I need to do. What actually does what help? I mean, I don't... I can shoot... he's got flaming stuff on his head. I am standing awfully close, so I can't tell, but...
Butt.
Well, I'm like, this is gonna hurt me. Yeah, and it did. I'm on fire. Mount the siege beast. I don't think I want to do that, but... I guess I have to. If that thing went off right now, the rope tension would probably kill me. Am I gonna seriously commandeer this? You're telling me this thing has like complex aiming sense? He can do trigonometry in his head? Oh boy. Oh, that was perfectly timed. Oh, come on. I don't know that I can have... I have a equivalent thing of... Well, no, not really. I mean, other than the fact that I suppose I've lived in places that have history to them, so it's like, oh, that's an... that's a perspective I have that I've been like, oh, you know, this is a major place that I've actually been there, and it's other people read about it in books, and I've actually seen it.
Sure.
So that's about as much, but I've never been like, oh, this is a family member of mine that's a historical figure of significance.
Can't leave this siege beast for the enemy.
I have friends, and especially in the academic world, people that I know that definitely...
That would have killed me too. What? How did he turn to stone?
What did I just witness?
Is it a troll? What? And then it's what? Okay, that's a strange choice to have it shrink and turn to nothing. I mean, I guess that was a graphical consideration, but that was a little weird. Reach the next seed. So I gotta keep doing this. I got 30 seconds. Whoa, okay.
I've just always found it, like the friends that I have.
How do I run at the speed of sound? There we go. What on earth, dude? Not the time. Not the time.
That do know their family history and go, oh, actually, my grandfather served in this war, and
well, I mean,
I've
done some of that in the most basic sense of finding. This was way too far, and I don't have this. I'm not gonna make it. I didn't realize it was timed until it was too late. Oh, that was just a bonus. Okay, I didn't fail because of that. Yeah, so I mean, I've done the genealogy type stuff, but nothing, didn't yield anything other than the fact that being related to John Browning is kind of bizarre. But that's not like a direct descendant. It wasn't like, oh, he was my great great grandfather or something, because that, even then, I'm not sure that would have changed anything. But
maybe not. But
no, hold it, get on his butt. Get on him. There we go.
Anyway, and perhaps a part of it is that I've always been, like, even not connected to me, and you and I have talked about this before, the whole idea of organized crime and the notion that there's a bit of a necessity to
necessary evil.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil in that you go. It's the whole quote from Peaky Blinders. It's the, yes, we know you're bad men, but you are bad men. It's like, there is a, and this kind of leads me into a different topic that we're gonna have to unpack a different time. But this
leads me to my new business venture.
If
you're interested in crack cocaine.
But anyway, just the fact that I have personal connection to those kinds of people, and that's always been a fascinating thing to me. And I think on a broader level, I think that there's clearly, based on the fact that there's clear evidence that people as a whole, on a sociological level, appreciate a working class man going, on an ambition level, I want more, and I'm not going to be afraid to do what's necessary to take it. I mean, that's just an interesting theme to me.
There we go.
And so to learn that through the history of, like, newspaper and things like that would just be an interesting thing, especially if I or my family had any level of connection to it. That would just be a very intriguing thought.
I don't know why they turned to stone. That doesn't make much sense to me, but
so this is the last bit. So let's just finish this little weird cut scene.
Oh no, a thing broke. How sad.
Oh, in all of this destruction, this one thing is very important.
Just wipe away our history.
I think you're taking that a little seriously. It was a tiny figurine, and it's not even wiped away. You could just put it back together.
The gates are holding.
Most at least they don't have their seeing stone. Actually, they do.
Most museums
that sucks.
Most museums would just put those two pieces together and be like fragments of this thing.
Almost like the elves did in Rivendell.
Yeah, I actually think that looks kind of cool. Just be like, you can see it in the pieces rather than this fictional. We cobbled it back together.
The Palantir is poison to men. None can withstand its influence.
Unless you're dead.
I don't think that was exactly the case. It wasn't.
Although these through.
If I'm wrong, I will fail as they have failed.
I have no clue. We talked over part of it, so I don't know what we're actually on about.
We win this war.
Now kiss my zombie face.
My lips might fall off in yours, though.
Oh, no. No. No.
It to be a very ginger kiss.
To your oath, Ranger.
Will she now? What else will she hold? Alrighty, well, we finally made reasonable progress. Oh, hey, lots of reasonable progress. Dope.
You put a lot of trust in her.
Did we not level up?
We didn't level up, we just got a whole bunch of XP. Dangerous tool, yeah, okay. Cool.
Until then, we should return to Shillong. I need more answers.
Alright, so there's our next quest. There we go, and now the world opens up, because I knew it was going to get bigger.
Wow. Significantly bigger.
Yeah, well, because we actually have to go
Holy
back.
cow, this game is going to be gigantic.
Well, it wasn't. The first game was big, too.
Yeah.
Well, not big, but, I mean, it had a few areas.
That's true.
New region unlocked. I guess we got no reason not to go there. That was part of the benefit, I suppose, of... Hang on, what's our open quests? Yeah. Alright, so we'll do that. I guess we'll fast travel there. That was one of the... I suppose that was a good thing of clearing all of our side quests first, is now we can leave that area behind and... Whoa! Okay, that's big.